Welcome to the Sabermetrics Network. I'm Vince Verhei of Football Outsiders and ESPN Insider, and I'm here today to talk about the Denver Broncos. I did a radio interview last week, and the host of the show was surprised when I suggested that the Broncos defense could cost them a playoff spot, so I thought I'd talk today about the holes they have on that side of the ball. We'll start with the secondary, and that means starting with Champ Bailey. Now, ESPN this week just released their Big Book of Scouting, which has the top 200 players in the NFL according to their scouts, and they graded Champ as the number 6 cornerback in the league. Now, that's what ESPN scouts say, but the numbers we have on Champ from our game charting project tell a very different story. Here's a look at how Champ Bailey has fared in our basic cornerback coverage stats over the past 6 years. The first of these is success rate, which measures the percentage of passes thrown to Bailey's receiver that were either incomplete or caught for a minimal gain. Now, in 2006, as you can see, Champ was truly elite, but since then he has been in a state of decline, almost linear decline, falling by 2 or 3% every season, except for 2008 when he was injured. If we look at our other stat for cornerback coverage, which is average yards per pass on balls thrown in the player's direction, the pattern is less clear, but you can still see that Bailey's best days are behind him. Now, Champ Bailey turned 34 years old in June, so it's hard to imagine how a cornerback at that age could find a way to reverse this trend now. At the other cornerback spot, the Broncos brought in Tracy from New Orleans, but his success rate last year was only 34%, which ranked 82nd among cornerbacks last year, and there's 32 teams and 2 starting cornerbacks per team. You can figure out that 82nd is very, very, very bad. Now, the year before, his success rate was 48%, which ranked 62nd. His yards per pass numbers have been about average, so in a nutshell, he's not terrible at allowing big plays, but he just gives up short plays over and over and over and over again. Now, at nickelback, the Broncos added another free agent corner in Drayton Florence of the Buffalo Bills, but his success rate has been below 50% 4 times in the past 5 years, and last year the average pass thrown in his direction, gained 9.8 yards. So it's hard to find much to like in these 3 players. So what about the safeties? Well, Brian Dawkins is retired. That left a hole in the starting lineup, so Denver went back to free agency. They added former Cleveland Brown Mike Adams. Adams has been in the league since 2004, but he never started more than 10 games in a season before last year. And last year, he started all 16 games, so he was basically invisible. We have a few ways of evaluating safeties at Football Outsiders, and one way is to tally all the plays they make, the tackles, the passes defense, interceptions, fumbles forced, fumbles recovered. Tally that and compare it to the team total to see how big a piece of the pie each player is making. Mike Adams made 8% of the Browns' plays last year. That ranked 59th among safeties. 59th, and again, he started every game. The other starter for the Broncos this year will likely be Raheem Moore. Now, Moore was a rookie in 2011, a second rounder, and he opened the season as the starting safety, and he proceeded to make many mistakes. By our game charting numbers, he missed nearly a quarter of the tackles he attempted, and by the end of the year, he was benched for another rookie and 4th rounder Quentin Carter. Now, Moore is back in the starting lineup right now, but based on how poorly he played as a rookie, he'll have to make a huge progress this year to be a quality starter. And finally, the Broncos added one more safety, Jim Leonard, in free agency, formerly of the Jets and Ravens. But Mike Kliss of the Denver Post says that Leonard is having trouble staying healthy, and he may not even make the team. Now, pass coverage is one half of pass defense. The other half, obviously, is pass rush. And the Broncos have Elvis Dumervil and Von Miller, which is one of the league's best pairs of bookends pass rushers. But despite their presence, the Broncos' pass rush is not as good as you might think. Here you see a couple of numbers for the Broncos' pass rush. The first is adjusted sack rate, which is sacks per pass play adjusted for score, down, yards to go for a first down, quality of opponent, and other factors. And the Broncos were very good here. However, we went back over the season and counted how often each defense pressured the quarterback, whether the quarterback was able to get a pass off or not. And here, Denver's defense didn't look good at all. So it's not so much that Denver's pass rushers were constantly in the quarterback's face, as much as when they were there, the quarterback usually ended up on the ground. All right, so we've established that Denver should have trouble covering receivers, and they're not as good as rushing the quarterback as you might think. Can they stop the run? Well, their best inside linebacker is DJ Williams. He has been suspended for at least 6 games for a violation of the league's substance abuse policy. Now, on top of that, Last week, he was convicted on charges stemming from an arrest in 2010 for driving while impairment, and the simple fact is, nobody knows when he's going to be back on the playing field again. Then we move to defensive tackle, where the projected starters are Ty Warren and Kevin Vickerson. Now, Ty Warren has played in one game in the past 2 years due to hip and triceps injuries, and Vickerson has played 5 years in the NFL but started 18 games total. He missed 11 games last year with an ankle injury. The backups behind them are Justin Bannon, who has gone from the Ravens to the Broncos to the Rams and now back to Denver this year. And finally, there is second-round pick Derek Wolfe, who was expected to go 3 or 4 rounds later in the draft, and at 6'5", he's probably too tall to start at tackle. So, as you can see, the Denver Broncos have a lot of problems in their defense that may have been overlooked in the fact that they have a brand new shiny quarterback. But that's going to do it for today. For more on the Broncos and to see some of these stats for all teams, be sure to check out Football Outsiders Almanac 2012, available right now in paperback and PDF form at footballoutsiders.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back next week.